What's up, everybody? I'm French Cooking, producer, entertainer. Yes, I have girls in my mouth, and yes, they're from China, so I'm pretty sure I'm getting lead poisoning right now. But welcome to my channel. Since this is my very first video, I want to give you a background about who I am and what I hope to teach you. So about 3 years ago, my girl broke up with me. I know, it's shocking, right? Anyway, suddenly I found myself with a lot more time on my hands, and I knew that I wanted to do music. I just didn't want to spend hundreds of dollars on something that I wasn't sure I was going to love. So I picked up an affordable MIDI controller, a couple free downloads here, a few free VSTs there, and before I knew it, I was making these crazy ass beats with a whole library of plugins that I didn't spend a dime on. And so essentially that's what I'm here to show you guys, how to make hard ass beats for free. No cracked VSTs, no illegal downloads, nothing like that. Just good tools made by good people. And what better way to start than with the DAW itself, MPC Beats. Not a sponsor. Can you see my nipples through this? I can't tell. Whatever. OnlyFans coming soon. So I have 4 pros that I want to talk about first. And then when I'm done with that, I'll move on to 4 cons about the software. Time to put my headphones on and go to work. Pro number 1 is that it's a free DAW with full functionality. What I mean by that is it can do most of the key things that other paid DAWs can do, if you don't mind putting in a little bit of extra work here and there. And I'll kind of explain what that means later on when I talk about the con. Pro number 2 is that it's built to work seamlessly with AKAI controllers. These are arguably the best in the game. You'll see a whole bunch of producers using them. I'm particularly impressed with the sensitivity of the drum pads. Now, personally, I got a controller because I wanted to learn how to make chords with my hands. Trust me, it's not necessary. You can just go into your piano roll and click in the notes. So I have MPC Beats pulled up. This is what it looks like. I loaded an actual piano into my track 1. And like I said before, you can just click in your notes. So we're starting at C here as our root note. And then I'll add a note at D sharp and add a note at G sharp. Okay, and we have our chord. See, it's easy like kissing the homies, am I right? Now, speaking of chords, that brings me to pro number 3, and that's that MPC can build your chords for you within the software. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase the little chord that we built here, and if you look under it in Pad Perform, you could change the type from notes to chords, and then you can change your root note as well. I'm gonna leave it as C. And you could change the scale. There's a whole bunch. I'm going to go through them all. Let's stick with major. And I can show you, if you press one of the pads, it creates a chord for you. And finally, pro number 4 is that it comes with a whole bunch of free sounds and expansion packs that can get you started to make your beats. Now, I have my expansion packs listed up here. And if you click on sample, you can see all of the sounds that came with the software for free that you can use to help you get started to make beats, especially in the hip hop genre, but you can use it for pretty much anything. Like they have basses, they have the plucks, effects, snares, kicks, hi-hats, crashes, just everything. Sorry, I gotta take my grills out, man. I'm getting lightheaded. Okay, now it's on to the cons, and the first one is that you're limited to 8 tracks in your project. But a track is like a slot where you can add in an instrument. So in very basic terms, if I have 8 slots, that means I can have 8 instruments in my beat. Now, that may sound like a lot, but keep in mind that you have to add drums to your beat. You can have vocals, you can have textures, you can have a whole bunch of fun shit. So when it's all said and done, 8 is really not that much, and it can be a little limited. And that's especially considering that most popular DAWs will have almost unlimited tracks that you can add to your project. Now, I think it's important to note that Metro Boomin actually said that this enabled him to do more with less, and it actually trained his brain to think a little bit more simplistically when it came to making beats. So he saw it as an advantage, but a lot of people might see it as a disadvantage, including myself. Thankfully, there's kind of a workaround, and that's to create a brand new sequence for your track. So you can see here in my DAW, I have a sequence for the chorus, and in my chorus, all 8 tracks have been assigned an instrument, so I can't add another one if I wanted to. What I could do is that I can go up here in my menu, and I go down to sequence, and I go to copy sequence, okay? And let's say that I want to create a bridge. Okay, click on do it. And here I have a bridge with the exact same instruments and the same MIDIs as I had for my chorus. And what I can do, say I want a bass instead of a pad, I can go ahead and create a new plugin in this track. Okay, a new plugin 7 was just created. I can delete the MIDI and I can go ahead and select which VST I want to select for my bass. So that's a cool way of getting around it. Like I said before, you need to work just a little bit harder to get done what you want to do, but it is entirely possible, which is good news. Now, the second con is similar to the first con in that there are only 4 effect slots available per track. Effects are things like reverb, delay, compression, filtering, all this stuff that really tends to pile up as you learn how to mix your master and beats a little bit more professional. So again, there are a couple of workarounds. The first is that you can use an effects chain plugin. Okay, so one plugin that can apply all of these effects for you. What I tend to do is I use the effects that are built into the plugin itself. So I have Synth Master Player here pulled up, and I'll make a video about this plugin some point down the line because it is truly incredible. But anyway, I have this pad pulled up. Also one of my favorite pads. You can see here on the right, there's a list of effects that you can enable or disable for your sound. There's distortion, there's lo-fi effect, there's a chorus, a phaser, an EQ. If you go down here, there's your delay and reverb. So I have the delay and reverb turned on, and this is what it sounds like with those. Just for the fun of it, let's turn everything on and see what it sounds like. So it really changed my sound, and it gives you something different that you can add to your beat. The third con is that MPC Beats uses VST2 format only and not VST3 format. That is difficult to say, I promise. There's a few different formats when it comes to plugins, but most often when you're using Windows like a normal, sane person, the main ones are VST2 and VST3. The difference between the two is that VST3 is newer and has more enhanced capability. So when you're limited to VST2, you're kind of missing out on some of the cooler VSTs that are being released more recently. As a workaround for this problem, there are plugins that you can use as VST2, and then you can load VST3 plugins within that one, and you can use the instrument in there. I don't have it myself, to be honest. Using VST2s kind of forces me to use VSTs that other producers may not necessarily be using. So my beats come out sounding different than theirs. At least that's what I tell myself. The fourth and final con is that MPC Beats has very limited automation. So what automation is you guessed it, helps you automate different events within your track. Things like turning off a filter or ramping up the volume in the intro. These are things that a lot of producers use to add life to their beats. You can automate a lot of things in MPC Beats, but for some others you can't. Like, you can't decrease or increase the BPM automatically. You can't put automation clips on your master track, which is pretty limiting, to be honest. But just like everything else, there is a workaround, right? So let's say I want to have an outro where the volume decreases gradually. I can't do that normally because I can't put automation clips on the master track. So what you can do is you create a brand new sequence with one track, and then you bounce your whole beat into one audio clip, and then you put that audio clip into the track. I know it sounds kind of weird, but it works. Again, I have the same beat pulled up here. Let me just play it. Fun little Detroit beat. So what I was trying to explain is that we can go to edit, we go to sequence, and we can bounce this sequence to a sample. Just give it a minute. Okay, so now we have our audio clip here called Bounce Chorus. We go up to the sequence menu. We'll go to an unused sequence here, sequence 6. And then let's just put outro. I already have an outro, but this is for the sake of the demo. And then we go to track 1. We go to your piano roll. Okay, create a new piano roll. Go here, And in our layers, we put our balanced audio clip. And this is our root note. Perfect. So we put a note here. We'll go throughout. Oop, forgot to change my BPM to the BPM of the project. 180. Here we go. And now if I play it, it should play the whole beat. Perfect. So to add an automation clip, we go down here in this little triangle. We go to track, we go to mixer, and we go to volume. Okay, and let me just pull this up right quick. So we take our drawing tool, and let's say I want the volume to start decreasing here. Pull this back up to roughly 0. Like so. Goes up as well. And now I hold shift and I draw down the volume like so. So if I did this correctly, the volume should start dipping right here in the middle. Of course I did it correctly. I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm not a loser, okay? So those are the main things that I've discovered over the years of using MPC Beats and producing with it. But I encourage you to download it yourself and to play with it. That's how I learned, and that's how you can learn too. Just make sure you subscribe to my channel, and I'll help you along the way, I promise. Peace out.